Well, while we wait for Trups, I figured I'd start without him. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another political recap stream. As stated, Trups is busy. I think he's masturbating. And if there's any audio issues, by the way, can you let me know? I'm still not quite... Yeah. I'm not quite sure how good this is. It's still the same microphone though, so it shouldn't be a problem. But using a different version of OBS has me a tad confused. So, because we're waiting for Trups, I'm going to start with this. Remember when Obama quilted Bob the Builder with "Yes, we can"?
Oh shit, motherfucker started it.
Quoted, right? Be quiet, boy. Anyway, quilted. The quote is, "She has to go." Now, this is from early September, I think. Yeah, this one is from early September, but there's a follow-up for it from today. And the reason I'm mentioning this now is because this has been going on for a while, where people have been wanting to get rid of this idiot. And the reason they want to get rid of her is because, I mean, as far as policy goes, domestic policy, I don't really think there are too many issues past the austerity and the contradictions that we talked about yesterday in PMQs. Okay, so she's basically a politician. But, and as many have said, including many politicians, I think Nicola Sturgeon even said it, the handling of Brexit is one of the biggest political catastrophes of our time. And there is some validity to it. When you get to the point that Ireland, Northern Ireland, is the most talked about part, to the point where you're considering devaluing the United Kingdom's union by making one country still remain somewhat part of the EU while you then try and think of a way to get them out. It's quite sad, really. All the while you have many other politicians, businesses, unions, and basically everyone that voted Remain saying, let's just remain. I mean, let's do that. But anyway, for a while now, Theresa May's had to handle people wanting to get rid of her. And it had been spoken of for about a week or so that she was going to get utterly butt-fucked. And the vote of no confidence this here is not new. Before the parliamentary session ended, before the summer recess, there was a vote of no confidence that was about to be tabled, and enough MPs had signed it so that it would go to Parliament, which is why Theresa May called for an early summer recess, because then she could avoid it. It wouldn't happen. I mean, it's not as if there are other people in the chamber that are lucky to still have a job. Cough, cough. John Bercow, cough, cough. Who I noticed on Twitter, there was a video of him talking, and I'm going to mention this now. He threw a few sly remarks at Tommy Robinson because he was invited to the House of Lords to be wined and dined by a UKIP member of the House of Peers. Naturally, MPs then like, but he spreads racism. Well, he's called out Muslim crap, but, you know, he created the EDL. Granted, that wasn't his greatest achievement. Probably getting butt-fucked in prison was. Now, back to Theresa May. She has been dealing with this for a while. Weirdly, if it was 2 years ago, this would be levied at Jeremy Corbyn, who is one of the weakest candidates to be up against her, or anyone for that matter. Had David Cameron stayed in office, I think David Cameron would be wiping the floor with him, because he can handle the pressure better than she can. Which then leads to this 50 MP remark here. Now these are the MPs typically backbenchers, some former cabinet members themselves, all of whom have been very disappointed with her strategy, even though she believes, and Michel Barnier believe, a deal could be reached. That's not the case. Many are already positing the notion that... Is it positing? Yeah. The notion that a no deal is now going to have to be legitimately considered because of how badly this has been handled. And it is going to cause more and more problems as time goes by, because the only idea she has realistically is the one here. And she's still clinging to this idea that this plan could work. I disagree. It won't work. She... El Primo Menstruator. I think she's a bit old to be doing that now. I think that's the face. That is the living avatar of the menopause. But anyway, oh yeah, yes, Mog. But anyway, yes, today she's managed to ward off those rebels with a emotional speech. So she used her female privilege because it was the only way she was going to keep her job realistically. She certainly wasn't going to keep her job if she carried on with this stalwart notion that checkers could work. Now some of the MPs involved in this include Nadine Dorris, Sir Edward Lee, and Philip Davies. Philip Davies is the well-known one who raised men's issues to Jess Phillips, even though he's a massive cunt. And now it seems like there's not going to be a leadership challenge because of how she handled it, because of the emotional and personal nature of those speeches, which Amber Rudd here confirms. I don't, obviously, unless that speech is released and we find out what was said to win over these MPs, all we have at the moment is hearsay. Because all she's doing there is to retain her job. She's not trying to get them to get behind her on Brexit. She's trying to keep her job. And that's a key distinction, because you've got here with Philip Davis saying 17.4 who voted Brexit will get to see a deal they would recognise as representing a clean break from the European Union. Now, it's understandable if you've got this many people and you're still pushing for something that actually goes in favour of the, I think it was 15 or 16.4, 15.4, 16.1? Oh, you know what? Less. Let's go with that. They had less people. And as far as I'm concerned with long-term stability for her job, I don't see this as something that could in fact survive too long. Because she's got to try and get this through Parliament yet. And at the moment, it's unlikely that she's going to be able to do that. So I think, in the short term, she might be able to keep her job, but since we are essentially 6 weeks away from the end of this negotiating period, because it ends at the end of November, she's got that long to either continue with checkers or to step back and be like, you know what, fuck it, let's go no deal. It seems like the only option available because she can't come up with anything better. Are you here now, Trups?
Yeah, I've been sitting listening to you
Bleat on, yes.
talk about menstruating women.
Thank you. Say hi, Trups.
Hi, Trups.
How is Trups?
Trups is frustrated at women driving a Honda Accord on my way home. Fucking took forever. But hey, whatever.
Women drivers, eh?
It wouldn't have been so bad if she didn't look the way she did with... I'm pretty sure she was on the phone. Not like literally holding the phone, but like on the phone Bluetooth-wise. So she didn't realize how fucking slow she was going.
How dare she?
Yeah, but so what?
Well, I thought I'd cover the only real topic I had, which was an attempt at trying to oust Theresa May as Prime Minister. What do you think about that?
I'm just waiting for them to pull the trigger. I'm one of those people who gets really disappointed with so much talking, because talk is cheap. Action is actually worth something.
See, I'm of a similar opinion. If those MPs really believed they had a legitimate and an argument, I'll go with the first point. If they believed they actually had a chance to get rid of her, they would have pushed forward already. The problem and the thing that I know that stopped them was that they don't have someone to replace her. They really don't. And that's the sad thing.
That's kind of their own problem. Like, they... Okay, so if you're going to get rid of somebody, I mean, like, truly go after them and get rid of them, you should really put all the pieces in place before you know...
Yeah, this is why, after the failure that was the general election of last year, and the slow decline of Theresa May's credibility, when the vote of no confidence was originally tabled. And I remember Jacob Rees-Mogg, he said he hadn't signed on it, and then he'd found out, because I think he was being interviewed, and he'd mentioned that he just found out that there were enough votes to do it, to trigger a vote of no confidence. But then the fact that the recess came so fast, it felt a bit... the timing.
It seems like she was intentionally trying to avoid the situation.
Yeah, the at that time, the legitimate challenger would have been Boris Johnson. That is almost a certainty. And it's a shame he's not... Guy Fawkes had a point. Yes, he did Saki.
I'm starting to think that more and more, actually.
And every year, on the 5th of November, people actually go down into the basement of Parliament just to check. Every single year they do this. I love it.
The wise decision.
We've been doing that for longer than you've been a country.
Yep, you've been having this many problems with your fucking leaders.
You have no leg to stand on.
Oh, really?
I'm sorry. Cough Barack Obama, cough.
Hey man, I wasn't old enough to vote for him.
Did Bill have sexual relations with that woman in the Oval Office?
Yes, and more than he even was accused of. But hey,
you know he bent her over the
80s.
Resolute table.
Oh, without a doubt. And something about a cigar in the vagina, I think.
You just gotta think, right? If he bent her over that and he pulled out, there's a chance that table, that desk, has an extra layer of varnish.
Ugh. So that's why it's whiter in that one place. Ugh.
Yeah.
Thank you for that image.
Okay. Before we continue, did you want to update on the... I'm not going to play that video because obviously there's no point. On the migrant thing? What's going on with that?
Yeah, so...
There's an article for that, isn't there? Oh, there's an article from
there
Vox called The
is.
Migrant Camp Explained, but apparently a cookie thing won't go away, so I'm going to refresh the page.
Yeah, so I pull from two different sources regarding each one of these topics. So I have a Vox one and a Fox.
Yeah, I've got the Vox one up first.
Okay, so
The Resolute desk was sorely tested that day.
okay, so even the first line of the Vox article is fantastic. It reads, "If the migrant caravan didn't exist, President Donald Trump might have needed to invent it."
Oh wow, hang on, where's my tinfoil hat fedora? Clutching at
I'll make you
straws?
one.
Yeah, please.
I'll make you one and send it in the mail.
Oh, that'll go. I'll probably stick it on the squid that arrived today that Anne made for me.
Fantastic.
It's really nice. I might stick it on a shelf next to my judge.
Like one of the sailor hats made out of just tinfoil.
Yeah. That sounds like a plan.
But anyway, continuing with the article.
Yes.
The existence of a group of thousands of Central Americans pushing towards the U.S. without papers, even if they still are, dyslexia, even if they are still hundreds of miles away, seems like something Trump's GOP might create in a lab to unleash on the eve of the midterms.
Right. Before we go any further, okay, to say that would imply that he has fabricated migrant-related comments before. Has he fabricated migrant-related comments before?
Some would say yes, by saying that the Mexicans are all rapists and drug dealers and things like
He
that.
did retract
That could be
that,
a
to be fair.
exaggeration.
He retracted.
Well, retracted, kind of. It was more of a clarification.
Yes, and he was right. So I'll be honest,
Yes,
it
he
wasn't
was.
fabricated at all.
Yeah.
And especially those fucking gangbangers. That the
The MS-13 Fox.
Yeah, come on. That was...
Viva la raza.
The gang...
But not Eddie Guerrero.
Sounded very Eddie Guerrero. It
I
just
love
sounded...
Guerrero.
I did too. It just sounded so... Like, the gang had a well-known and well-established track record. Him speaking out against them, and then... was it Pelosi that defended them?
Oh, just all the DNC. Maxine Waters put a thought in. Yeah.
It's just embarrassing. The Caravan of Peace. I want to see Cy 10 Atheist do the Caravan of Peace as a song. I actually have Cy 10's entire music library I bought off his, her.
Talking Lily, the Latin Kings are better than MS-13 by a very, very small but important margin.
There's only one gang worth note. It's the Holy Trinity, Moistianity, Crips.
Ah, yes, of course, all of that.
Our symbol is like a west side, but your fingertips drip.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah, edgy, right? I know.
Very.
So what do you think?
Like
With this statement, it's obviously not. I don't. I think it's. I think it is a bit. Okay, so the premise is that Trump's trying to stir up national pride under the guise of that being inherently racist. So the implication is that he will use it to gain points with the horrible nationalists who themselves are inherently racist. Yes.
Oh, always, yes. He had to invent this migrant crisis because the blue wave was threatening the GOP.
At this moment in time, the blue wave is about to become the blue. A blue puddle, perhaps. When is it, that's happening in what? In a couple of weeks, isn't it?
Like 2.
Literally 2 weeks.
Yep, literally.
Damn, this shit's gonna get good.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
I'm actually really looking forward to that.
Because if he 2 weeks from now, we'll be able to talk about it.
Sorry?
I'm sorry, in 2 weeks from now, we'll actually be able to talk about it because it'll happen on that Tuesday.
Oh, that'll be good. Maybe we should move the stream to the Tuesday then, so we could talk about it all Wednesday.
And keep watching it like the fucking Young Turks did.
Yeah, but I don't want to run the risk of ending up like the Young Turks. Because I mean, I've just got a bottle of moonshine, and I think I'd finish it. If things didn't go my way, I think I'd end up going to hospital.
Yeah, probably maybe not the best idea. But anyway.
Yes, let's continue. Yes, but the caravan is real.
The caravan is real. The migrants in it, mostly Hondurans with some Guatemalans.
Are Guatemalans
half of it
technically Mexicans?
No, it's another country.
Is it another country? I don't know much about. Is it Latin America or something?
South America had various wars of independence and kind of declared a bunch of whole.
I'm just going to add this now. Areas. Honduran makes me think of Honda from Street Fighter.
Fair, I guess. Sure. But anyway, half of whom are girls and women. What is the fucking... Okay, so, that's a weird way to phrase it.
No. Now we have to say it. Okay, so we care about half of them. What's wrong with the men then?
Yeah, right? Not even like boys.
No,
just
girls women and girls. That is so sexist.
Not even women and children. Fuck the male children. Ignore them entirely.
It's just tragedy. Okay, let's continue.
Many intending to seek asylum in the U.S.
Thank
are
you,
real
for the
people.
£5 donation. That's very kind of you. Gives Omegon moist gang hand sign. Yes, right.
Moist gang.
Yeah, and I actually read that for once because I can. I don't. It's that second monitor, fam.
Second monitor is OP.
I haven't figured out how to turn the brightness down though. My eyes are killing me.
I understand.
Afterwards.
I'll help you out with it afterward.
It's fine. Okay, let's continue then, shall we?
Yes. So many intending to seek asylum in the U.S. are real people. They made the decision to leave their home countries, assessing that the danger of leaving was outstripped by the danger of facing gang death threats or feeding a family on $5 per day.
Before we continue,
and they made the decision.
Before we continue, Furry Kitten quoted you. Fuck.
I was worried that somebody would pick up on some of the things that I say, because I usually say that shit and then respond with, but don't fuck the male children.
Before we also continue, I want to address something about this whole situation.
Sure.
I don't know anything about Honduras. Is it Honduras?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that country. And I have yet to see an article actually tell me anything about that country. I know a little about Guatemala because my avatar artist's family come from there, and she's told me plenty about it. I don't know anything about Salvador. I know nothing about it. And yet we're continually... These are used, but minus the reference here to gang death threats or feeding a family on $5 a day. By the way, I've lived on that myself. In fact, I can say I've lived on that for a week, and that was when I was at my poorest. It's not difficult if you know where to look. But I don't know about I don't know if there's anything indicative. If there's any like gang issues in Honduras.
There are.
Is it as bad as they might portray it?
It's not as bad as like
Mexico?
Somalia. No,
they're not gangs. They're
Mexico's
pirates,
actually Mexico is actually pretty well off in comparison. Honduras is a low middle income nation. Like it's pretty great. It's pretty not that great.
It's pretty great. Oh dear.
No, I was gonna say it's a pretty gray area.
Oh,
but then I started to trip over myself as I spoke, so I had to rephrase. Oh yeah, all the time. It looks like by 2016, more than 66% were living below the poverty line. They said about unemployment was about 27.9%, which is about 1.2 million Hondurans.
Yeah. Another
so thing it is a impoverished nation, sure.
Right. Okay. That's important to know because I didn't know that. And here in the article it mentions something else of interest I never really thought about. Because you've got to think, this is quite the coordinated movement. And it says here,
Indeed.
And they made the decision to go together. How the fuck do you coordinate thousands of people? I mean, some have joined as they progress because they've seen opportunity. But to the bulk that started this, how the fuck did you organize? Was this a Facebook group?
I would be surprised, but not completely out of the question, I suppose.
I'm just really curious about that.
There's a lot of speculation about how this got started.
I had noticed that, which is why it really confuses me how they managed to organize. Unlike those from Syria, where it was simply a case of Turkey just let them through and Germany just said, come on, brothers. You can murder all our white women. Brother, don't worry about it.
Come here.
Yes. Take our white women. Fuck off, beautiful German white women. Just fuck them all.
see, that's also a bad one too, but that's more appropriate for the situation.
Okay, so I added the word German, and because I'm British, I don't have to care. I'm kidding. I do care. It's not. Yeah. There are some rather reprehensible people coming in, and some are. Actually, wasn't it discovered like a huge chunk weren't in fact from, like the countries they say they're from?
Well, they are, but actually, some of our White House officials have speculated that
I meant European,
within the group.
I didn't mean that. I meant the European ones.
Oh.
But as far as in fact, let's just carry on as if I meant yours instead, because that's actually interesting and relevant. So please carry on.
So some of them have actually considered the possibility that within that group there are some people linked to ISIS, though I don't know how much that is
heard this, and
propaganda
then I saw
or
secular talk. Kyle Kulinski. Kyle, let's call him that. He was on. The Young Turks, and I think they talked about this, and I think they felt they debunked it. And also,
I doubt it. The Young Turks don't do much.
Yeah, I know. I saw the Jank Politicon thing. That was embarrassing. To the person in the chat who wrote, "They're Germans. They're not real people." It's they are Germans. So it was they apostrophe re, not THERE. Grammar Nazi, everyone. You're welcome.
At least you got aren't is correct.
Yes. And I didn't know Sinead O'Connor, the one-hit wonder, converted from one religion to another, because I forgot she was even alive.
I didn't know that was how you spelled that.
Yeah, honestly. With the caravan still progressing, is the government deploying the military yet?
Yes. 800 soldiers.
Really?
Yep.
I'll be honest. If you give one guy enough ammo, he could just take them all out.
If you want to switch over to the Fox article, that's actually the headline.
Hundreds of US troops heading to the border to deal with migrant... By the way, we're lucky I even got that one right, because I've got too many articles here.
That was well done, yeah.
Oh, wait, hang on. I've got like 5... Oh, no, I know why. Some of these are doubled. They've duplicated the articles in my tabs. Oh, well. Let's go with this. Go on, then. Hundreds
Yeah,
of
hundreds
US
of U.S.
troops.
troops.
You're gone. Sorry, I'm reading of you.
It's okay. Hundreds of U.S. troops heading to the border to deal with migrant caravan, official says.
You know
First
how
paragraph. Hundreds.
before you continue, you know how before the stream we were talking about people talking over each other, and the first thing
Yeah, we're
I've been
really...
doing to you since we started was talk over you. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. I apologize.
It's okay. Oh man, yeah, we've been doing that a lot today for some reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's all right.
It's fine.
So first paragraph. Hundreds of U.S. troops are set to make their way to the southern border to help Homeland Security and the National Guard as a caravan with thousands of migrants pushes north with the goal of crossing into America. A U.S. official confirmed to Fox
Okay,
News on
two
Thursday.
questions. Firstly, if they cross the border, what happens? They get put in detention centers, right?
Or, I mean, yeah, yes, that would
Or they
happen
get
first.
they get tagged and let loose. The second question is, if Antifa are so keen, and I have to reference them now, to call for the closure and shutting down of ICE, how come they haven't gone to the border to stand in front of the soldiers or something with a big welcome sign?
Oh, I don't know that they necessarily haven't. This was announced 5 hours ago, so they might be considering it, but that would mean they would have to organize Antifa in southern Texas.
Yeah, I was about to say, hang on. I mean, is the very Democrat saturated area? Is it Dallas? Isn't it? Is that near the south or is that near the east or west? Sorry.
It's like southwest-ish, I suppose.
Oh well, then they have a chance.
Feel free to correct me, somebody in the...
Yeah, someone tell me where Dallas is? Because I hear that's a blue area.
But even still, like that would be maybe 10 for every 10,000. So I don't know how many you can honestly organize in the state of Texas. Okay, oh no, that's fucking north.
Yeah, I was about to
northeast.
Say, I'm pretty sure that's north. I knew that because I know a couple of areas from looking at a map.
Yeah, I was thinking of Austin for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Because that's the capital.
Houston, Austin are blue. Okay.
But yeah, they would probably cross in El Paso or probably probably El Paso.
That's a place in Texas.
In Texas, yeah.
Sounds decidedly Mexican.
Well, I mean, most of Texas and that whole area was Mexican at one point.
Damn them and their Mexican heritage.
Then we took their land.
They took our jobs.
America.
Sorry, they took our jobs.
They took our jobs. We took your land.
Okay, so there is this thing where the defense secretary could sign the deployment orders. So it does mean it hasn't actually happened yet.
Yeah, but...
And you've already got over 2,000 National Guard on the southern border assisting Homeland Security. That's... I mean, I know there's a lot of land to cover, but that's quite a bit of...
Oh yeah, Texas, like, southern border is enormous.
And then Trump tweeted out, "I'm bringing out the military for this national emergency. They will be stopped." Oh dear.
Yeah, because this has been considered by some, Mike Pompeo, as a attack on American sovereignty.
Right.
Because let's say we don't stop them, right? Well, what does that say about anybody else who has that idea? Yeah. Well, okay, then the comment even from Mexican officials has been, if we don't stop them, we're going to see one of these every week.
Yeah, also, to address the chat, Fairy Kitten, you mentioned, damn them coming here cooking tasty food. I don't actually know any dishes that are native to Honduras, or Guatemala for that matter, or Salvador. I mean, the only thing I know that came from Mexico, was it Taco Bell?
Not necessarily,
I know,
but
I'm
sure.
being facetious.
Yes.
Oh, I can't. I don't do. I like enchiladas. Is that Mexican?
I mean, yeah, it's Spanish food, sure.
Spanish food, right? Because I know in this country they fob it off as Mexican.
I mean, the only real difference is depending on where you were in Latin America, you use different things to make your tortillas. So either corn or wheat or flour. It really depended on what you could grow in your area. So I mean, that's where the main difference comes in. Like
Churros.
Mexican food has a lot of
What?
beef.
What's a churro? Tiger Lily mentions it.
Churro,
What is it?
churros are like batter covered in cinnamon. So they have
Batter
a pastry taste. It's a pastry essentially, but it's very light.
sounds like heresy.
Sounds like diabetes.
Maybe I'll have to come when I come to America. I'll have to go try it out.
Yes.
Fantastic! I can hardly wait. There was
You
another
sound
question
so
I was going to
thrilled.
ask about that. There was another question. Oh, it was really important as well. Um, someone mentioned. Someone mentioned LGBTQ. Right, we will talk about that as well before we get to the main thing we want to cover. So we'll continue with this, and then we'll quickly touch on the LGBT thing because it's really interesting.
Right. So if we're gonna scroll down a little bit, it says the migrant caravan as of Thursday
Yeah, I'm there now.
is still in. Yeah, the migrant caravan as of Thursday is still in southern Mexico, more than 1,000 miles away from the nearest entry point into the U.S. Its size is estimated to be about 7,000, but many of those currently walking are suffering from exhaustion, dehydration, and heat stroke.
Well,
This is the first time I've actually heard of somebody talking about the state of the people in the caravan, because if you've seen the images of them, they've all looked pretty healthy,
mm-hmm.
which made me think, how refugee are they?
Yeah, some of the, like in the picture here, you've got one of them wearing a sports shirt. I'm not trying to say because they're wearing some nice clothes they might be okay. I'm really not. I'm just putting it out there for others to say because then I don't look like a twat for doing it.
Well, it makes you question, are they coming because they fear for their lives or because they could get an economic boost working in the US? And then comes the question of economic migrant, is that a real like refugee?
Mm-hmm.
Is that a real
It's
refugee
not.
consideration?
That's quite a blank way of putting it, but they're not.
No, I agree
I
with
do
you.
get though that you want to come to America, especially with America at the moment. The country's thriving with employment as far as employment numbers go, especially. So it would seem reasonable that if you are from somewhere in a very poor area, and you can get to America, then yeah, you're going to do it. But if you're going to do it, you have you realistically have three options really. First one, you take the legal route. The second, you come in discreetly on your own, and people will find a way in anyway. Or the third one, you do this. You get huge public attention with a huge chance of you getting a bullet put through your head.
Even Mexico has actually tried to stop them, and earlier today they had put up a fence and several blockades.
Yeah.
Well, 7 federal Mexican officers have been assaulted by this caravan.
Right.
The barricades have been torn down, and while they did that, they were waving the Honduran flag. So it makes me question, because it looked a lot like Antifa shit, kind of how it worked.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering, because a lot of Mexico is actually pro this open border idea. So the Mexican president is having quite an issue trying to figure out how to dance around this.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact of the matter is, he agrees that this shit cannot happen.
Yeah. No, I'm absolutely in agreement. And yes, there is a regular reference to Trump being supposedly this guy who's going to genocide all the brown people, but he's just a nationalist.
Yes, he is.
Before we get on to the other subject that you really want to talk about, should we briefly talk about the LGBT thing with the gender and biological sex thing? Because I've heard about this. What was that about?
So basically, Trump doesn't agree that trans sex can be decided. Transgender, however, is different because it's very complicated because there's very different reporting.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people have conflated the two, transsexual and transgender, together as one.
Yeah.
So when let me pull up a specific wording of what Trump actually did, and then we'll continue with this. So read the chat for
I
a
know
hot second.
that I know that I saw Count Dankula talking with Kevin Logan about this, and Dank was coming at it from the position of mostly on the transgender element. It's not a case of ignoring them or trying to erase them as a number of people referenced on Twitter. It's not a gender on its own. It's a state of being between two places. And I get that you don't want to have your rights denied, and I think that's why it's important to make sure that certain freedoms and rights are reinforced, I guess, when it comes to
Okay, so here's the official thing.
Have you
President Donald Trump. Oh yeah.
If you DM it, I'll put it on the screen then. Read the chat.
Now, of course, this is
if
Breitbart.
Gender is not binary,
so...
then you cannot trans. Yes, right.
Yeah, right. I'll get to that in a second.
That was in the chat. I will pull this up. Okay, Feds draft plan to discard Obama's transgender ideology. Oh, Breitbart. Right. Damn.
Yeah, well, I'm just going with the objective first two paragraphs, so the one in bold and then the one underneath it. So,
oh God, look at that.
President Donald Trump's Justice Department will soon decide if agencies must follow biology when they describe the legal sex of American women and girls, men and boys, according to a document leaked to the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
The policy would protect Americans' civil rights from the transgender ideology, which insists that everyone has an FBI-enforced federal right to switch their legal sex, regardless of their biology. Damn, Breitbart. God damn.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Damn, guys. All right, so the New York Times reported. Ready?
Yes, got it.
Now, the Department of Health and Human Services is spearheading an effort to establish a legal definition of sex under Title IX, the federal civil rights law that bans gender discrimination in education programs that receive government financial assistance, according to a memo obtained by the New York Times. The department argued...
Before we continue, Title IX, I have many times spoken about this. A patron of mine called Andrew, years ago, he told me about Title IX, and I eventually looked into it and realised there was the little dear colleague letter penned by Obama, which many took as almost gospel, because it got to the point where it made it seem easier to believe those making the accusation, and easier then to get rid of those who had been accused. It was an absolute farce. So when it was announced to be gotten rid of, it was an important step in actually pursuing justice, as opposed to this joke that the universities had become. Now you can continue.
Yes, we have actually discussed about it in some measure in a couple of other previous streams. But anyway, the department argued in its memo that key government agencies needed to adopt an explicit and uniform definition of gender as determined on a biological basis that is clear, grounded in science, objective, and administrable. The agency's proposed definition would define sex as either male or female, unchangeable, and determined by the genitals that a person is born with, according to a draft reviewed by the Times. So, like, that's about all that I care about for this article.
Yeah.
At least now we have a semblance of understanding of what it is.
Yeah.
Opinions?
My opinion is there's an error. It's the mistake of conflating sex and gender. Gender is a role that's been determined by society. Sex is something that is definable because of biology.
Yes.
I had this argument with cognitive thought until I eventually conceded because I'd misunderstood something. It is a case that gender is not... When it comes to biological sex, people do need to respect that that is a scientific, verifiable fact. And people who do transition... I mean, I think then the argument can be made their sex can be changed.
See, I disagree because
but it is still you're still biologically male or female.
Right, and the reason why I agree with this sentiment is because let's say that you could legally change your sex, and consider, a man transitioning to female goes to the hospital. Well, I have this pain. Well, it says they're female. So let's write off prostate cancer as a possibility of the pain.
Yeah, okay, yeah. You've got a point. I think, what people are trying. I think this is definitely going to be maybe not a fallacy. The position they're coming at it from would be one of saying, when you then take away their identity, and it's a vulnerable element. I think they're trying to argue from those that then say they don't support this. They're arguing from a position of, you're denying me who I am, as if who you are has anything to do with what you are. If that makes sense.
Yes, but at the same time, I don't care who you identify as. If you are dead and dying and I need to save you, and you have a very specific, different kind of issue dependent on gender. So if I were a doctor and I was like, my God, this person has cervical cancer, but it says they're a man. It's not that they removed
his man has
that.
cervical cancer, but he's a man. Okay, then he's missing a penis.
Well, maybe. But like this is the problem. There are biological differences that are grounded in medical research and study that need to be addressed when discussing somebody's sex, specifically sex. Gender, I don't care if you dress up or you want to transition, but your sex is going to be the thing that is going to save you if you have certain kinds of cancer.
I love the chat. Cancer. So your thoughts on this are, you can agree with it? Yes.
I can agree with the having a objective and like a rigid stance on sex.
Press one if you think Trups is
okay
a
with
bigot.
change. Yeah, probably. But gender, I couldn't care less about. You identify as whatever the fuck you want.
Exactly. It's just such a... it's arbitrary. And
on a medical record, I need that shit to say what you were born with.
Yeah, no, I can agree. And Saki spamming the ones. Thank you, Saki. Okay, so shall we move on to the focal point of your Aya this week?
Yes. It's very interesting, and I'm still trying to figure out how I feel.
So, what happened to start this?
Which one? Which one did you pull up?
CNN Politics. Because apparently I don't have the other one. Hang on, I probably do. Give me a second. Read the chat.
The latest news or the one that starts with Trump?
Oh, hang on. What? Trump, I'm a nationalist.
Okay, we can go with that one.
I was going to go with the other one, but we'll do the nationalist first. Okay, so
basically,
I can't play this video through Rabbit, but I can I see how long it is first. But if it's not too long, I can
forget everything you know
as an advert. Piss off.
Yeah, well, I mean, just the idea that Trump admitted outright in a political rally that he was a nationalist, and everyone was like, "See, he's Hitler."
Yeah, okay, so
that's literally it.
Okay, we can talk about that for a few minutes. So I saw on Twitter and on Facebook a number of people go out of their way to compare Hitler and Trump. And I'm going to pull up my Twitter. I'll show it to you. Oh, okay, log in first. Log me my fucking account! And I noticed quite a lot of people who went out of their way to make an obvious false equivalence. Oh wait, why is that tweet not available? LOL! Okay. We'll get on with something.
They took it down?
No, someone else took down a different one when I called them a historical retard. Okay.
Oh.
So, here we go. Right. I will pull this up. 1 second. Okay, so the first tweet is this one here. The tweet reads, Adolf Hitler, I'm a nationalist. Donald Trump, I'm a nationalist. Wake the fuck up, America. This is no longer a circus or a bad reality TV show. This is full-on fascist. Take over our country, and November 6th is our last best chance to stop it. Vote blue to save America. Study Hitler. Trump was not qualified. Passing laws, opposition is locked out. Blah, blah, blah. But I pointed out, comparing the two is a false equivalence. And there is nothing inherently wrong with putting your country above all others. In fact, it is the job of those in government to do just that. Which it is. The job of government is to serve the people. And then there was one later on from Bruce Bartlett. I love the name Bartlett. It reminds me of Josiah Bartlett on The West Wing.
Ooh,
he wrote,
yeah.
It's such a good show. Key differences between Donald Trump. Vinnick was supposed to win season 7, but because I can't remember his name, died.
I know you're talking about, yeah.
Anyway, they went with Santos, who was based on Obama. Donald Trump and Adolf Hitler. Okay, I like the spelling. I like that spelling a lot. Yeah, Adolph, apparently.
Yeah, it's Dolph Lundgren, just with an A in front of it.
Adolf Lundgren Hitler. Hitler served honorably in the military. Yes, he did. He had a fantastic mustache, too. Trump didn't. Doesn't matter. Hitler was faithful to his wife. They were married for one day, weren't they?
Yeah, and then they killed each other.
Yeah.
Didn't they?
Trump cheats on all his wives.
Suicide?
You know what that tells me? The motherfucker gets pussy. Trump wrote a book. Yes, he did. A book still freely available on Amazon. And Trump's all ghostwritten. I know the comparison people are making, and they're trying to obviously say that because he's pointed out the difference is that the only one left is the comparisons, and the comparison is obviously that they're both nationalist, and that's bad.
And you know the whole gassing of the Jews.
Yeah. I then replied, "You're missing one rather large difference: gassing of the Jews, and many more political ones, because they're not." You just think here, what was Hitler in politics? I mean, I had this discussion last night with people. He did introduce some policies that did good. There were some. There's no denying them. But there were quite a lot more that were absolute dog shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think actually I was in this discussion with you.
Yes, you were. But yeah, the rest of it was all false equivalence related, and my social media has been full of false equivalences. I hate using that word. It was like when I first started on YouTube, the word fallacy and strawman were an ad hom. They were used as buzzwords to answer something, and I then had to bother to go and look them up. To me, it's so annoying that I now know what a false equivalence is. It annoys me because I see them, and it pisses me off.
I see appeal to authority fallacies now, and I'm just like, I hate myself.
I've been
feel
accused
like
of that.
Shit.
I've been accused of that. It's ridiculous. I'm not appealing to authority.
I hate knowing these things now. It's fucking... it just bothers me every time I go out and do things. I'm like,
Hitler didn't run this universe. You're right, he didn't. Clearly Trump's the winner.
Yeah, big time. Now, basically, that whole thing has basically just primed everybody in the news to be like, oh my god, he said the thing that everyone was thinking and no one said. Because we were too busy calling him racist and fascist. But now we can call him nationalist.
Well, that means racist, doesn't it? Because apparently giving a fuck about your country first, even though he has made no secret about how he wants to put America first. He's made no secret of it. He was a nationalist the moment he started introducing foreign policies that benefited America. That was
it's almost like he ran on a campaign of America first.
Also, Trump has more balls than Hitler. Yes, I had heard a rumour that Hitler only had one ball and the other was in the Albert Hall.
Also,
his
Trump
mother,
doesn't suffer
the silly
from...
bugger, cut it off when he was small.
and also, Trump didn't suffer from hallucinations due to chlorine gas.
He wasn't also so horrifically religiously zealous. Come on.
Yeah, he's really not. But yeah, I mean, this whole thing is basically giving everybody what they wanted, and
yeah.
Oh my god, gas chambers everywhere.
Yeah. Okay, he's got a point actually, because that was a thing we talked about with War Corpse last week. About because he's white and a nationalist, he's a white nationalist.
Right.
Yes.
That. But the thing is, you can be white and a nationalist without being a white nationalist.
Yeah, that's the problem though. That term is tainted. That's what's really.
But like, would you consider Poland a country of white nationalists or nationalists who are white?
I'd call them hard-working fellows.
Because I quite like Poland, and the balls on somebody to call Poland a country of Nazis would be enormous.
It would be, considering what happened during the war. It shows a complete lack of historical knowledge, which actually fell in line with my Twitter, because there was a woman who'd tweeted out how she wanted to paint over a mural on her college campus in UK. Problem is, the mural that she wants to paint over was a mural made in honor of the university students who'd left to go fight in World War I. But she wanted to paint over it because they were all white men, even though they were about to go and give their lives to their country.
and like in like the first major battle that the face World War, not just these occasional spats in between two countries, and then like everybody was fucking involved, and also some of the most atrocious deaths in history.
Mm-hmm.
Chlorine gas, mustard gas. I mean, these things were brutal.
I have no answers for that crap.
Yeah, but speaking of brutal and terrifying deaths, or at least possible,
Oh, yes.
there was
so,
one more thing I wanted to touch on before we hopped off, and there's not much development in this yet, but I wanted to at least mention it.
Okay.
So it's the other article.
Yep. Trump critics and CNN receive explosive devices.
Right.
Yep.
So some people within the last 3 days have been circulating pipe bombs to Robert De Niro, the Obamas, the Clintons,
Biden.
Basically a whole bunch of Democratic higher ups.
Biden's been confirmed to have received 2.
Biden got it twice.
Yeah, I see it here.
John Brennan, what's her face?
Maxine Waters.
Yep.
George Soros, Eric
Pelosi.
Holder, Brennan. Pelosi is not mentioned on this for the Trump critics.
No, I thought I had heard about it. My bad.
Unless I can't read, I don't see
her
name there.
It might be. It might not be. I just assumed if they were hitting the DNC, they might hit her too. I guess.
Soros, though, man. Soros.
Yeah, that I thought was like, oof, this has got to be some guy from the internet.
I did see a number of tinfoil hat people who, when they saw some of the pictures of the alleged packages, were quick to point out a mistake on the packaging, and it was the postage. Because if anything had been sent through the mail, the stamps typically have a mark on them afterwards.
Right,
and
a
the
postmark.
stamps didn't have a mark on them.
That has been an odd thing that they have mentioned, the FBI have.
Mm-hmm.
And they've even mentioned how they could necessarily like track a lot of forensic evidence of these items, but I've found that almost laughable in a sense, because one of the things they said was, like on the Fox article, it says there's DNA that can be recovered from the device. Ryan Morris, founder of Tripwire Operation Group, a company that provides explosive training.
Hang on, I'm going to go and get it. Fox article. Oh, yes, there it is. The crudely made package bombs.
Yeah. It's past the little blue link that says suspicious packages addressed to former
investigators,
Yeah. Morris said that investigators would likely be able to take DNA from the fingerprints found on the tape, as well as the saliva from the postage stamps. Okay, so one thing that is questionable there is most postage stamps don't actually have you lick them anymore. They just have adhesive.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I'm looking at those, and I'm pretty sure I have the same stamps, because everyone has freedom stamps.
I'm just going to add, I think I have some of those stamps. Don't bother asking.
Well, the good thing about those stamps is that they never depreciate in value.
I have.
That's the whole point.
We still lick our stamps here. I know this for a fact, but I also have in my wallet stamps that stick as well. So we do have the adhesive ones as well, and I think they're the majority. If you have ones you have to lick, normally it's because you've still got some from old circulation that are still valid, of course.
Right. So anyway, so like you're taking the DNA from the fingerprints. You're trying to pull the DNA from the oil in the fingerprints. Can you even do that?
There is a chance you can pull a fingerprint if it's touched the adhesive side.
Yeah.
And I've done that. It does happen.
Uncommon, no, yeah, it totally does.
But it can happen. So that would be quite interesting if it happens.
But it's been very odd the way that they've really been going out on the media saying like, oh, we can track these guys. Like they've been really hard pressed on this thought, which makes me think that they have nothing.
I hope that unlike the Mueller case, that perhaps this gets resolved a little quicker. Because this...
This is important.
Has Trump issued a statement on this?
Yeah, his comment was because this is the important part. CNN headquarters in New York City also got one of these.
Is it mentioned in this article?
Probably.
I think it was actually mentioned in the other one, actually, not just...
Yeah, probably.
Nope, that's Theresa May.
Uh,
Oh, yeah. On the expand list. CNN's offices in New York. Yeah.
yeah, so, I mean, there are definitely those people who have been attacked, which Trump has said this is what happens when you stoke the flames by basically calling out people for being bad people. This is what happens.
Oh, dear.
But also, like, it's a shame. This is wrong, but are you surprised? So it's kind of like a...
It does sound like victim blaming.
It does, but doesn't that fucking make a lot of sense? Because I had the same argument with somebody yesterday when this had first started coming out.
Right.
They were like, "Oh, this is crazy," and then one of my fucking friends remarks, "Oh, can't wait for Trump to be like, oh, the DNC sent bombs to themselves to feign this threat." And I was like, "Well, that would be..."
mentioned that they were delivered to CNN, and the cameras would at CNN.
Yeah, right. That would be a thing.
Yeah, if there are no stamp marks on these where they should be, and that was delivered to CNN, yeah, you'd be able to catch them on camera because those stamps are redundant. Because it clearly had
I think
not been
a lot of them were just fake to make it look like they went through the mail, but almost none of them did.
Yeah, okay, I getcha.
But and one of the other things is that there's a whole bunch of spelling mistakes all over these things. Like Brennan's name was spelled wrong.
Are they trying to portray those that sent them as rednecks or something?
I thought that maybe. But after my friend had made the comment that, oh, the DNC has been sending themselves packages, right?
Mm-hmm.
I thought, well, that would make sense, wouldn't it? Because I don't know where the Clintons live. I don't know where Obama and all these people have houses. This is across the whole United States. I don't know where these fuckers live. So, like, if it's one person, which is usually the case with these bomb things, it's usually one to, like, a small group of people, and there's no way they got them across the country and delivered all of them at the same time. There's no way. So it makes me question. I'm like, did my friend accidentally just explain the the situation? But my first thought was, if this is true, if this is, like, let's say a right-wing conspirator trying to get back at DNC or whatever, can you really be surprised when you have taken so much time and effort to call people monsters that they decide, I'm going to be exactly what they think I am?
I don't know how to answer that. Although I will point out, I just noticed, I'm just going to show it to everyone now, the spelling on the thumbnail for the Fox article for John Brennan, the Brennan part is spelled incorrectly.
Right, correct.
Even though that's printed.
Right.
Oh dear.
It's very complicated.
It is a bit of a mess. I am looking forward to more of this information coming out. I think if they're proven to be plants, or if they're proven to be actual, legitimate rednecks or red voters who've done this in the name of God Emperor, then yeah, it's oh dear.
I think it's too well placed to be a right-wing conspiracy.
Well, it's like the people who came forward against Kavanaugh. The timing was suspicious,
especially when you consider how that Vox article mentioned that Trump created this caravan.
Oh yeah.
You kind of look at that and go, how do you offset that 2 weeks before the election? What if everybody had a bomb threat?
Yeah.
So I really don't know what the fuck's going on right now, but I mean this is a lot. And Count Dibula, this is seriously the lamest attempt at a package bomb I've ever seen.
Hi, Neela.
I agree so much, because let's put something very clear. This is a pipe bomb with a timer on it.
Wait, what?
That's what the if you look at the image
I'm looking at
of
the
the bomb,
image, but I didn't. It has a timer on it.
it has a timer on it,
It's not
which means it's a
real.
bad package bomb because the package bomb has to open, and when you open it, it pulls the switch. That's the point.
Then it's a dud.
Probably.
That could be 2 dumplings and a tube of Smarties covered in gaffer tape.
Yes. With 2 wires connected to it that
You know what that?
they
You know what the
tore
real
out of
you know
a
what the real
fucking
travesty there is? It's a waste of dumplings.
probably.
Do you know what
But that
dumplings
was
are?
my but that was a very good point that Dib made that I did want to touch on, because these are these aren't even package bombs. These are like there is no logical creation here, because first I'm looking at the picture. There is a single battery.
For everyone else as well.
There's a single battery connected to the right side of
We're talking
what
about
looks to
the
be a
pipe
fucking
bomb, yes.
yeah, the pipe bomb.
Yeah.
The single battery on the right side connected to a single wire that goes into the right side of something.
Okay.
Into a clock that looks to be taped, and then another fucking red wire that goes off the left side. It looks like a game asset.
Do you know what it actually looks like? And I still maintain the dumpling part, which you still haven't answered. Do you know what a dumpling is?
Depends. Which context would you mean?
Stew dumpling.
Okay, then yes.
Okay, good. The wiring looks more like the material used for stethoscopes. You know, the part that comes around your ears.
Yeah, yeah.
And the clock was probably made by that school kid.
Oh my god. I want to know what happens when they open them up and actually like take them apart, disassemble them, because if they actually have the contents within them to be pipe bombs, okay.
Maybe when it hits 0, it just starts playing the cucaracha. Before we finish, would you like to share anything?
Not at the moment, but I always love to, have new people come and engage with my videos on my channel. So if you guys have the time and are interested, come check out my stuff. Leave a like, leave a comment. Always love to hear from you guys.
Okay, we're done with that sharing. I should be able to record a video tonight and post it tomorrow. I'm going to try and do it with this setup. This is quite unusual to me, so yeah, I'll see what I can do. Say goodnight, Trups.
Good night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.